out this episode of Raised on the Radio. I am one half of the show. I am Cole Brocato, my good friend Patrick Blair in Zoomland as usual, with a very special guest today, Mr. Chris Curd, all the way from, I'm going to say Denver. I know it's not Denver proper, but Denver, Colorado. How are you, sir?
Good, good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Jealous of you for being in Colorado and not here in beautiful St. Louis. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah. Oh, I feel the pain.
How much do you miss St. Louis? Very little?
0.
Yes.
Ooh,
0.
wow.
That's what I was hoping for. Because we often talk about St. Louis on the show, and we talk about different areas of St. Louis, and we talk about crime, and we talk about nightlife. You were St. Louis. We need to make this very, you were, doesn't matter if you lock your doors, St. Louis. It's a very different thing.
You want to leave your car doors open. Don't leave anything shiny. You know, you might as well just leave the keys in the car.
As soon as my wife got pregnant, we were in the city. We were trying to stay there, trying to upgrade in the city. As soon as she got pregnant, I was like, we might as well just make this the time to just get out.
Cole, where are you at?
I'm about an hour and a half south of St. Louis, out in the boonies. The best place to be, I think. Patrick doesn't like it.
Yeah.
I would like it if there were mountains, but it's just Missouri.
I would take
Just
mountains.
Southern Missouri.
You make it sound so bad.
It's fine. It's okay. I mean, you did post the video of the snow the other day, and I was like, oh, look at that. That's peaceful. But yeah.
And that's as far as that thought went for you. I appreciate it.
Died right there.
I never thought that I would be in more of like a suburban residential type of area where people are up on top of you. I have to tell you, I mean, living in the city, people leave you alone. You kind of miss that. Even though it was in the hood, I mean, people out here, as soon as they knew that we moved in, they're bringing fucking cakes over and all this other, just trying to make themselves known, ringing our doorbell. We got a 1-month-old. I'm getting upset because people are ringing the doorbell, waking the kid up. Just like, leave the cookies on the front door and go home. But
yeah, I didn't think that was real until my wife and I moved here where we are currently. Like, our neighbors brought us a Christmas present. I was like, what? Oh, cool. We're at that point. Like, now I feel like an ass. Guess we'll have to get you something next year. Put that on the calendar. But like, the way I grew up, our neighbor, I guess there was a sense of community, but we didn't communicate like that. We didn't have that level of like neighborly, like, hey, Bill, how's it going today? Oh my, it's like, it wasn't like that. It was more like you said, living in the city where it's kind of, everybody just kind of left everybody alone. You know, it was kind of,
yeah, you wave nicely and you just go about your business. That's about it.
There was also that level of like, hey, what are you looking at? Why are you looking at my house? Why are you looking at my cars? Why are you looking at my kid? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was very much like confrontational, like, no, we're not doing that today. It's like, okay.
I'm all about routine of things. And it was like, no, you're not doing that no more. No, you can't go out and do this, and you can't go bike ride with your friends, and you can't do any of these things. It's like, well, shit, well, how do I burn all this extra energy, you know? Or how do I get those negative things that maybe are, you know, the turmoil that's going on through my week, whether it's work or life or family or whatever, how do I get that energy out? And I wasn't able to because, you know, we were face to face. So thankfully we did not kill each other or any of the kids, but, you know, it was close.
Well, I would imagine music is a route that you normally take to get a lot of that out too, right?
Yeah. So, but at that time, I had already kind of stepped away from it. You know, the hush list people were already starting to have kids and other situations were happening at the time. And we kind of just got to that point where we're like, we've got a good run at this right now. Let's just kind of step back. So the music had already stopped. You know, we were starting to write another record under the hush list. And what it turned out to be was, you know, I ended up kind of peeling back a little bit and just being like, well, I'd rather just kind of write this by myself. And I would rather just kind of just focus on the things I have to and not have that extra, you know, expectations coming from 4 or 5 other guys where it's like, well, you can't be at practice or you can't do these things. You can't do this. And it's like, well, my life has changed, you know, and as much as I love the music and it's been a huge part of who I am, hell, it's the beacon of who I am, but it's my kids are who I am now.
Right.
Just focus part of just life in general is who I am. So yeah, I mean, I stepped back for a while and we slow wrote a record. I mean, it's been 4 years. You know, my whole thought process has changed too. When I'm putting stuff out now, it's not because it's like go, 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 go. It's thought out. And it's like, you know, like the song that you put out, like that was a fantastic song, and it was for your son.
Oh,
and it
thanks,
was
man.
like, you wanted to do that because that's where your mind is now. And yeah, I watched that, you're part of the podcast where you had some trolls and some assholes basically just being like, oh, you're a douchebag, whatever. Well, screw you, dude. Like, this wasn't for you.
Yeah.
You can turn this off right now and go and watch something else. That's fine. That's the type of mentality most people have nowadays. You listen to 10 seconds of a song and you're on to the next thing. So just play like that and go. But this was, like I said, man, you wrote it for your son, and you wrote it. It was a meaningful thing. Well, that's how I look at it now too. When I'm putting music out, it's about my family. It's about, you know, maybe some emotions or something that I ran through at that time. And I want it to kind of hit and touch base with people who are feeling that same thing. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier on in my career, it was like, I want to just reach out to as many people as possible and, you know, play the game of how commercially successful can I be, and how relatable can I be to everybody. But, you know, as you know, life is not that way.
You know, you said something, and for me, having a kid now, it's really made me change the whole reason that my whole motivation and what inspires me, you know. And to be honest with you, the motivating factor for me was because I hadn't played a show in a while, and, you know, the project that I was a part of, it just stopped. There was no real reason. And I was actually saying this to my wife, like, we put out an EP in 2018. It's still some of the favorite stuff I've ever done, and no one heard it. You know, we put it out, and it was on a thing, but like, we never played a show, you know, like we never even really rehearsed it in a sense. So like, sort of like, well, that's done. So now, you know, once my son was born, I was like, I can't live in a world, and I can't have my son living in a world where I'm not being creative musically. So let me just do this on my own, and let me just see how it goes. And man, no disrespect to anyone I've ever been in a band with, but man, this is so easy. It's 100% stress-free. And I have all the resources I need to not only get it done by myself, but get it done in a sense where it doesn't take a year to get a song done. I can get it done, put it out, and it's done. And then it's there. And then it'll live on forever. And if by the time my son is 15, he's like, Dad, that was super lame, I listen to grindcore now, I'm like, cool, bro. But at least you know that I was doing it. Had I known 15 years ago, like, hey, maybe just try it on your own and see how it goes, maybe it would have been different, because I didn't have that motivating factor in my life like my son.
Where things were probably a lot different 15 years ago, though, right? Would it still be as easy as it is for you now?
I don't know, but there were plenty of people I knew that were doing it on their own. They kind of controlled everything. You know, they absorbed all of the responsibility, all of the creative control. And again, a lot of people that, and Chris, you can probably vouch for this, a lot of the people that I knew that were like that were unbearable to be around in the creative, like during the creative process. But that's the way they treated it.
That's how, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways, they were doing it the way that it needed to be done. But I think, you know, from where me and you grew up, and the mindset was, you do this in a group, you collaborate with other people, you kind of get those tingly vibes when you're like, hey, I brought an idea to the table, and you see it changing and, you know, and molding as it's happening. And then you get to the end result. Now, maybe not for you, but for me, when I started getting to that point, because, you know, in 2010, I was playing in a band in California and trying to do the whole make it big thing, you know, and it just, I was exposed to so many things that pushed me away from wanting to do that, especially with a group of people, because I had no say-so by myself.
Right.
And so when I moved back to St. Louis, if you remember, I put out a record. I put out a 5-song little EP that I did with Nick Rollman in his basement. And it was probably like the most gratifying thing that I had ever done at that time. And it was just me, me and him. He was setting up all the equipment because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And he had a whole little studio basement. And I just go over there and we drink beers and we talk about things. And we probably talked for about an hour and a half or two before we start even recording. And then it would just be so lax and so easy. And I just go in there and he'd be like, put down what you want to put down. And I'm like, well, that's not how I'm used to it. I'm so used to being formulated with other people, and okay, the drums go first, and then here's the guitar work, and then repeat. Now I'm doing it all. But, you know, it was the most like cathartic thing I could have done. Step Back Leopard turned into the Leopard, which was a full project, and then the Leopard turned into the Hush List. And for me, I liked the fact that I was able to show. Here you go. I was able to show those transformations, but in the back of my mind, it's like I could have done all this by myself.
Yeah. And I remember, you know, Step Back, which was just you. You played a show with Killer Me, Killer You. You played by yourself.
It was Orvis. It was who
yeah.
else?
So They Say came back for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe from Skies of Fire was on it, I want to say, or maybe Fivefold.
I think it was from Skies of Fire. That was at the Firebird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't remember. It was a show. I don't remember what it was. They had a purpose though. I don't know if it was a CD release. Maybe it was.
But yeah, that was like your old practice spot. I came and watched you guys practice. But yeah, that was, I think, a CD release for you guys at the Firebird.
Yeah. The things we do to get people to a show. We're going to auction off our bass player.
You guys always, and you guys packed the house with that. That was one of those bands that was like, you guys had something going.
I couldn't explain it. I still can't explain it.
You guys would have pops packed to the brim. I mean, I don't know a whole bunch of bands that could even do that now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Colt was amazed to hear that Battle for Point Fest shows used to nearly like sell out pops or like fill up pops. Because apparently now they don't do shit. I haven't been to one in so long, but you can vouch for it. I mean, we used to fill that place with tons of people specifically for those battles. At local shows, though, Cornbread would do them at Pops. And it was just it was a hangout for all of us band dudes to just go there and get wrecked on bush lights or bushes and watch him do a show, you know?
Oh, that was at Pops originally?
Originally, yeah.
Really? That's kind of cool.
Yep. It transitioned to or transformed to, this was probably a bad thing, but they would let you play live on the point. So like on the local show, like they would, I was like, and they give you like, hey, do you want us to do a recording of it? I was like, no, I never want to hear that. I never want to hear what that sounded like. I'm good.
Yeah, that was real good. Pretty much where we live in now is everybody is putting out something, whether it's audio, video, and, you know, it's almost just like nobody is caring about, not that they're not caring about the details of what they're putting in, because obviously some people are, but they're just kind of just putting out more emotional things, more raw.
Just content. More content equals more followers equals more everything. Yeah. Yeah.
People want to see realism. People want to see you as you, not this like made up fictitious thing, like, and just kind of hitting the head with the band stuff. You know, just like you, sometimes it would take 4 or 5 years to release something, and we'd be doing all this underground work to get it ready to go, and then you got to get an artist to do all of your artwork, and you got to get posters.
We got to send it off to get mastered by such and such, and we're going to pay $800 for that. Like, why did we do that? Why did we ever do that? It's just a name.
Exactly. There was plenty of other people probably in the St. Louis area that could have given you quality product for a lot less, and you would have had it done months and months prior. You know how much more easily and less cost effective it is for you to just get like a small little home studio setup, get a microphone, you know, get you a little mic pre and some software, and just, you know, a quiet, nice little isolated room, and track whatever you can track and bring it back.
Yeah.
Anything for that, we would have been paying by the hour and paying with somebody else's time for them to be like, hurry up and track the shit and get out of my studio. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that was the mentality that I was so used to growing up, was I'm paying this money, thousands of dollars, for a 5-song EP for a limited amount of time to go in there and be as professional and crank it out as fast as you can.
What I wanted recording to be. And I'm like you, I have some stuff. I'm just like, oh God. Like he knows, he brings up old stuff. And I'm like, dude, I can't listen to that. Like, I cringe. Even when you say a title like let alone me have to hear it. But like my whole thing was like, you know, you heard stories or watched videos or like the making of like all the bands that I consider heroes or grew up listening to, like the recording process was a long thing. You know,
Oh yeah.
you had like Axl Rose showing up drunk to the studio and he'd be like, well, I'll be back. And the band members would be like, he might not be back for 6 months. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be this larger than life process to where that end product made you go, we're here. We've arrived. Where it wasn't like that. It's like you said, it was always rushed. It was always too much money for this, not enough money for that. Who did this? Who did that? And then I finally, like the project that I brought up, the EP that I put out that no one ever heard because we never played it. That was the one time where I treated it like that. We went out to LA. We did the LA thing. We recorded it with, all things considered, a big time producer. I mean, this guy recorded the music, or, you know, did the music for Iron Man 3. I mean, this guy had done things. So we're like, this is it. And I went out there by myself and did all the vocals by myself. So I got to sort of live the sort of like, I'm going to do this on my time type, you know, and no one heard it. So now here I am, I'm like doing everything on my own. I'm like, well, this is cool this way. While you guys were doing that, I was working on trying to be a good performer, you know?
Yeah.
That was always more important to me because I sat in rooms with people who said I wasn't good enough. I played showcases for record labels and played shows with bands who were signed and were getting attention. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? That guy didn't perform at all. But you're telling, and you know, it's a kick in the ass, but it's a reality check that you, if you haven't gone through it and you're a young musician, you might need to.
When I heard that the podcast, the last one that you did where people were giving you shit about your song, dude, that hurt my feelings.
Oh man.
It was kind of just well, we live in that world. Somebody can hide behind the door and then throw the rock at you and then escape. And it's like, who's really has a bruised ego here? Is it Patrick or is it that douchebag who had to make that comment to you?
I thought at the time it was like, really? And then now when I think about it, it's funny. It was just it was just the subject matter. It's like, it's a music video. Clearly I made it about my kid, you know?
Exactly.
Like the whole point was like me telling the world that I love my son. Sorry.
So we've dropped those 2 songs, Trying to Sleep and Gang Gang. And then the 16th of February is when we're going to drop the rest of this. We got 3 more songs. So the project is called Mad Love. And
Right.
it's just I specifically say this is not a band. It's really not even a project. It's just a music collective.
He opens his eyes so blue to begin a new day, days of gray. Realizing he's moments away. All left, all love, all boys. It's the little things that make us who we are. Your smile and your mind and your choice are the little things that make you who you are. He was the stars in her sky, to walk this road without a map. Listen to your